Hey, True Believers, Chris Mack coming at you with the next installment of our Age of Apocalypse that we've been going through. This is X-Calibre number 4. And as I was talking about the Dark Knight's Death Metal number 5 yesterday, where I just felt like it bogged down with dialogue and it was just a chore, this was good. This is how you event, this is how you comic book. Now the print date on this was June 1995. And let's go ahead and dive into it and let me explain why I think this kicks butt over with the other book that we went over. So first and foremost, not every AOA book did this, but I appreciate that in X-Calibre, they bring you up to speed. Just in case you didn't get the other books, you can at least get an idea of what's going on. So that's awesome. That always helps, and I'm glad that a lot of books do that nowadays to kind of bring you up to speed, because sometimes books get delayed or they're monthly books and you've read so much and done so much since then your brain can't remember. That's one thing I like about doing these events, is it helps me retain, so that when I come back I'm like, oh yeah, and I can just watch my video. So this book is called On Fire. This is Warren Ellis writing, Ken Lashley pencils, Tom Wegerzen with Philip Moy inks, Joe Rosas doing the colors, Richard Starkings and Comicraft lettering, Digital Chameleon separations, Suzanne Gaffney editor, and Bob Harris editor-in-chief. And I just like that little bit of fire with a hand. It just really kind of adds to the bleakness of what the Age of Apocalypse stood for. So last book, the Pale Riders invaded Avalon when Kurt came to get Destiny. And yeah, a lot of things happened. This character, Damask, she changed sides because she didn't realize that people could live in peace. So she joined this X-Calibre team. And you start to see this voiceover, but you notice that the way that it's written doesn't really match any of the other characters. So with that said, we see the Switchback, which we never really knew what her power was, so I like how Warren Allen introduces it. You just kind of see her go, zzzz, and Mystique's like, what was that? And she goes, sorry, it's my ability. I can shunt back down my own timeline to a max of 10 seconds ago. I was getting a funny headache, so I drove me and my body chemistry back 10 seconds. Seems to do the trick. So you're just kind of like, well, that was random. But at the same time, it at least shows what her powers are and why she's called Switchback. So that helps immensely. Now we'll get back into this. Let's put a pin in that. So at this point, we kind of see the aftermath of what the Pale Riders did. We see Doug Ramsey, who basically calls Destiny Mom, showing, he's trying to comfort the people of Avalon, and people are just saying, shut up, little human. And he's like, I'm not a human, I'm a mutant. He's like, how do you think everybody here is able to speak to one another? Is because I am tied to Avalon and I make everyone understand each other because that's my power, which we know that is Doug Ramsey's mutant ability. But anyway, everyone's talking about how we need to get back to America, and because Doug thinks this whole thing with Bishop is a joke. And Switchback is just talking about how, there's a guy in America with a bar with wings. Apocalypse rules the world, and you think that some guy from another reality is too far-fetched for you. But before anything else can happen, we come to find out who the dialogue that we've been talking about is, like who the person behind it is. And spoiler alerts, if you've not read this, who it turns out to be, and is revealed in a wonderful 2-page splash, is the Shadow King. And as you can see, the dialogue boxes aren't daunting like in death metal. There's a little bit of bump, and then this beautiful art piece saying, can you see me now? Pleased to meet you. I am the Shadow King. So you see the Shadow King took over another one of the inhabitants of Avalon, and you come to find out that the Shadow King says, I tried to possess your Switchback, but her powers kicked me out. So we go back to when she said I had a funny headache. So I love how Warren Ellis implemented that. And the art team, just is on point. It is gorgeous. We get another splash page, and this is the Shadow King talking, but look at how your eyes are treated to this beautiful piece that could be a poster. And the dialogue leads you around, so you're getting the whole image as you're reading, and it doesn't feel daunting. It's broken up just enough for you to enjoy it and feel the stakes of what is going on. That's how you comic book. And so Damask tries to use her psychic ability where she's able to skin someone's mind, and so she attacks the host that the Shadow King's in, but the Shadow King jumps too quick and she ends up hurting the person that's possessed. So Kurt, well, what kind of finally makes Kurt jump to action here is Mystique gets possessed. And so this is his mother. He does not want to see her hurt. So Damask tries to explain the astral plane, but they don't call it that. They call it like a subversion of space that's adjacent to our dimension. And so Damask uses her powers. Something happens. And then here's the thing where it just seems like no matter what reality you're in, I guess some fates are just dealt the same way. So kind of a spoiler, the Shadow King is defeated. But here it says Doug Ramsey moves on instinct, his head still full of Kurt Darkholm's words. He takes his head out of the sand. He faces the world head on and sees what the dream can achieve. Life out of death. So let me find out if I can find the page real quick, because I kind of jumped over it, but I got too excited about how I was not bored reading this book. The pacing was wonderful, and I just had a great time reading this. So hold on, I got to go back quite a bit here. Hold on, I'll get there. So we've read that page. There's switchback. Gonna flip some pages, folks. Work with me here. But it was very poignant what Kurt tells Doug, and I'm trying to find it. Here, okay. So Doug says, you animals, you brought this with you. You tore down Avalon. And Kurt, you can see he's very jaded in this reality. He goes, oh, shut up. The inevitable just happened ahead of schedule. That's all. What? You ran away from the real life, little boy. It was only a matter of time before real life ran after you. This dream of yours, this coexistence thing, do you ever stop to wonder what you could have achieved with it if you hadn't hid it in the sand along with your heads? Welcome to the real world. Start coping with it the way us poor slobs stuck in the real world have to. So Doug gets a bit of a reality check there, and that's what makes this moment poignant, because Doug, as it said, finally pulled his head out of the sand. Because yes, Avalon in theory, in the midst of apocalypse, was a good idea, people wanting to get away. But the problem is when there's a conflict and you go to bury your head in the sand, it'll eventually come for you. So that was a poignant moment for me. I was just like, wow, that kind of hit me between the eyes. So yeah, I mean, this is a short review, but that's because this book, the way the dialogue moves, the way the art moves, the way the action moves, boom, 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 the way a comic book should. And the reason that it felt short when I was reading it is because I had fun. Comic books are supposed to be fun, not essays. And that's, as we saw in Death Metal, it was like essay after essay on each page, bogging down the artwork, bogging down where we could have had some really great dynamic action moments, especially if they would have drawn out the moment with a Castle Bat. If you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure to check out the review we did yesterday. So yeah, X-Calibre, one of the best books out of the Age of Apocalypse, definitely underrated. If you've enjoyed this comic book, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if you can get a copy of this. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little X bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys will come to the page. And we love talking with y'all and hearing your feedback down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.